Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Gifted Hoops podcast. We've been grinding for all 30 teams all year long, and we're finally on the Phoenix Suns. I want you to have the space here to introduce yourself to all the people before we get into our conversation, bro. Go ahead.
What's going on, guys? Suns Worldwide here. You guys can find me on pretty much every social media platform, but OnlyFans because we don't do that shit.
I feel that.
Is this PG-13 here?
You can say whatever you want to say.
Okay,
no filter.
But I got you. But yeah, you can pretty much find me everywhere. I'll be bullshit and talk about the Suns. But yeah, appreciate my man Gifty here for getting me on his platform here. He does some great stuff up tapped in here, and yeah, let's get into it, man. This is gonna be an exciting podcast.
So, a lot of stuff happened with the Phoenix Suns this offseason, but I think I want to specifically go back to the peak era of the Suns, and I say this because this is definitely a inflection point, I would say, for the team, right? This is transitioning into a different era of basketball with the Suns. I think this all began with the high point where they make it to the NBA Finals, and I feel like we live in a time where people just forget about things and like don't really pay the real homage. Like, this was a team that had a very respectable path, all this and all that. And then a lot happened since that point. But for your perspective, how did you feel about this Suns team back when they first added Chris Paul? Because I feel like that was really the beginning of like a shift in the franchise for me.
Yeah. It was nice to see that they finally went and added a superstar player next to Devin Booker to actually go out there and compete. The expectations of reaching the finals was not in anybody's bucket list. It was almost like the Pacers this year. Nobody expected the Pacers even, like, they had a really rough, they turned it around at the deadline, obviously, but nobody expected them to go all the way to the finals. Unfortunately, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. I think they personally won that game. But, we just had playoff expectations with adding Chris Paul. And, if you ask everyone on Twitter, we had a lot of things go our way, and I will agree. With injuries like Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, etc. But yeah, it was super exciting, and I've never heard any have this comparison for this Phoenix Suns team, but I feel like the 21 Suns team is almost like that Russ, Harden, and Kevin Durant team that went to the finals back in, I believe, 2012 or 2013.
Okay.
Not talent wise, but like a team that just overachieved and the expectations got really high, and eventually, you got embarrassed in Game 7 on your home court, so you had to change it up. But yeah, I just thought it was super cool that finally they got booked to finally show what he can do on a bigger level, because he was just like, he had the Bradley Beal narrative. It was empty stats on a bad team, and he got to prove that he took over in big moments. In Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, when Chris Paul went down for that game, he went out and had a 40-point triple-double. Like, he showed on the biggest stage in the finals, back-to-back 40-point games. Nobody else really showed up to help him, but he showed he's a dog, he's a sicko.
Yeah. I wanted to let you know a big thing, right? So for me, Devin Booker has been one of my favorite players for some time now, right? And I was watching the Suns, and they time at a time did not put a competitive team around him, so he was labeled a guy that couldn't really win. Like, I always watched his game and said, no, like, he has clear talents and skills. They just have to get a good team. And I do want to say this, right? To me, before Chris Paul even got there, what the Suns showed without Aiden for the first stretch in the bubble and all that type of stuff, to me, it signified like how good of a team they were going to be. Once they added Chris Paul to that team, I was much higher on them. But the level of dominance in one season, how things quickly change, I need to give them as much flowers and credit as possible, because this was a franchise that had seen so many harder days, and within one season, they were easily one of the best teams in the league. Like, that transition really deserves its flowers, but specifically Devin Booker showing that he is not just a guy that shoots the ball, all this and that. No, like, he's a winning basketball player. And I think that's a huge part of why the Suns chose to extend him in this, upcoming offseason because they believe in him as their guy. And I love that process, honestly.
Yeah, I think the bubble definitely, that's a point that doesn't really get talked about when it comes to Devin Booker and just the Phoenix Suns in general. And I just feel like, it's kind of just gone under the wayside just because of just recent events in the Suns, past couple of seasons. They just kind of throw that whole finals thing away. So, I mean, if you watched hoops and you paid attention to the game of basketball, Devin Booker was going to be one of them ones. I mean, he had people around the league. He had people like Kobe in his rookie year show him respect.
Yeah.
Like he earned a lot of respect from greats like Dwayne Wade, Kobe, everyone, bro. There's a lot of people that will line up to come and play with Devin Booker right now. There's a big amount. We saw on Team USA, he changed his whole game, and he was unsung MVP. And there's a reason he was closing out over a certain shooting guard in big games on bigger platforms.
He scaled down phenomenally well too, man. Like he was the unsung role player they needed to have real success in these games. He was big,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after they get Chris Paul, they win a lot of games. And again, that NBA Finals, the stuff that Devin Booker was doing consistently. I mean, back-to-back 40-point games on Drew Holiday, which is a phenomenal POA guard. Like, he just showed a ton of potential. So the season after that, they look even better. And now my question is, okay, how real can the Suns team continue to be? And then, unfortunately, they never really reached the same ceiling, but I figured that it's fine. Like things like this happen. Me personally, I didn't want them to trade their young core away. I felt like just give it time to grow. But then you guys transition from that era to signing for Kevin Durant. Like just, I'm sorry. It's such like a massive shift. Where were you for that?
I was on board for the Kevin Durant deal, and I still am. I make that trade 100 times out of 100. But I feel like the way that the Suns went about it, they messed up. I think they were a little too eager, and I think Matt Ishbia's new ownership syndrome got in the way of that, and eventually you lose McCall in that, because I believe if I heard this correctly, if they don't make that trade at the deadline and they wait till the offseason, they keep McCall as well. They don't have to give up McCall. It's just
really
Cam Johnson and whoever else. So yeah, so you could still have a team in that offseason of Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. That's a great starting five. And then you throw away Mikal, Cam Johnson, which Mikal was, when Book got hurt for those like 1 or 2 months,
he was hooping
All-Star game. Then that helped him transition to Brooklyn, and he was freaking scoring north of like 25 points a game, something crazy like that. And obviously, the role has changed for Mikal. He changed his jump shot. I don't know why, but there was a lot of, and of course, like it's always the what if too. And when you go back and look at the Suns roster, there's a bunch of what ifs and what could have happened. And if you would have had, if you don't trade for Kevin Durant at the deadline, you have Chris Paul, you run it back with the same team going to the playoffs. I don't know what happens. Nobody really does. If you go into the playoffs with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton, and I believe Cam Johnson also like tore his ACL or something in practice, or I don't know if it was in a game or practice. I don't remember. I think Damian Lee was in practice. It's a non-contact injury, but yeah, I guess it's just a bunch of what ifs, and I'm still on board with the Kevin Durant trade. It's just the moves after that I didn't really agree with.
Yeah, for me, I understood the idea of the KD trade, right? I felt that pairing him alongside your best players made a ton of sense. My thing is, after you sign it, I'm then saying, okay, is this the big splash move you're doing, or are you going to do the work it takes to like really maximize the roster? Because again, we've seen so many teams go for the 3 guys, right? But the roster around those 3 guys isn't that great. And I thought that, okay, once you do that, what are the moves that will follow this? And I will say this, unfortunately, as soon as KD joined, he got hurt. So like,
yeah,
I think the transition from that into the playoffs was very, very hard for him.
Yeah.
I just feel like moving on from Chris Paul, which I kind of feel like made sense. He was getting older, but to do it for Bradley Beal was the real issue in that, in my opinion. Because that contract like really hamstrung some things for you guys.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think they personally, yeah, keep Chris Paul. But honestly, like, I'm still not like against it. That's not even the move that like the Beal trade. Like, I'm still fine if that happens. It's just there's a move after that they messed up with. But if you keep a team of Book, Beal, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, you have Tamani Kamara. Like, we saw Tamani Kamara was an all defensive team, I believe, right?
Hmm.
And was a second round pick. Anybody, there's so many delusional Suns fans. I'm gonna call my own fan base here.
Okay.
They're like, you can't just because he was playing good in summer league doesn't mean that you know he was going to be. If you watch Tamani Kamara in summer league, he looked like a freaking absolute pro. He just had the intangibles. He had just how he was moving on the court. You could see it from day one. Any person that, like, I'm not the smartest person when it comes to basketball. I'm going to admit that right here, but you could just tell like this kid's going to be something special defensively, and he offensively he was showing some good. He was showing some good stuff too, but I'm still not against the Bill thing if that happens. I believe, the DeAndre Ayton trade. That's where the Suns really messed up. You lose Ayton, and it's not more so that you traded Ayton. You could still explore that at the deadline, but it was just the return that you got. You traded DeAndre Ayton and Tamani Kamara for Grayson Allen, near see a little Keon Johnson, I believe. Yusuf
Yeah.
Nurkic. It just you downgraded massively with which the Suns needed. Like that, the team leaving out of the offseason, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is a perfect center for that Suns team. And then you have the defenders, the athleticism that the Suns desperately needed in Tamani Kamara. And you give that up for Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen, which Grayson's the only one left on this team.
I was gonna transition to that part of it because I wasn't like a fan of the build thing, mainly because of like, okay, the cap is gonna be very
Mm-hmm.
restrictive. The health, like I just wasn't sure of like how all that will look. But beyond that, to your point, to follow that up with trading DeAndre Ayton for that return was bad. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Nurkic is that much of a great player anymore. And specifically, what he actually did for the Suns consistently, where he was getting lost on defense
Yeah.
routinely, he was a turnover machine. Like, it just wasn't a great fit. And this team really just needed like a more traditional, normal big man that wasn't so turnover prone. Honestly, I think that
Yeah.
that definitely hurt the well-roundedness of the team at that point.
Yeah. 100%. I don't know. It's just tough. Like, even in what was I talking about here? DeAndre Ayton and Frank Vogel in his opening presser, I believe he mentioned that he wanted to make Ayton an all-star type center, and he wanted to make him he wanted to make him an all-star type center. And the fact that all that hype was there, and then randomly out of the blue you trade DeAndre Ayton, I think the Suns should have personally experimented with that team until the deadline, or at least give it a full season. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes with Book and Ayton and all that. But Kevin Durant was thoroughly excited to play with DeAndre Ayton. I don't know if that's ever been talked about on the record, but yeah, at least like if you were going to trade Ayton, you could have got a way better package, and he could have explored that at the deadline or the following offseason. Not literally like what was it, like a week before the season kicked off that trade was made. But yeah, that's my whole take on that situation, and hopefully the Suns learned from what mistakes they made.
I hope so too. And then they go from that to last year, and I think it was very questionable about how good the team will be coming into the season. Of course, um, they see Beal year one doesn't really play that many games, but they're healthy at the end for the post playoffs, and they go up against the Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Wolves in that series mainly because I just felt like the size and the defense would be a hard thing for the Suns, and I kind of feel like the Suns in different ways really underperform in terms of the math battle. I mean, the
Yeah.
boards, 3 pointers, like just they dominated the total amount of possessions, and I think that's where
Mm-hmm.
they lost that series to me.
Yeah. Going into the playoffs that year, everybody wanted the Minnesota matchup. That was honestly one that Suns fans wanted.
Mm.
Clearly, that's not what we thought it was going to turn out to be, getting swept. But I don't know. It was just it was just a bad season overall. Just trying to the Western Conference was tough in general. It's been tougher,
True.
and trying to fight for a spot in general was rough. I don't know. It was just I don't really think back on that season. I've honestly tried to forget about all of it, and it was just so confusing and puzzling. This is one takeaway I have from this. It was so
Okay.
puzzling because we dominated Minnesota in those
All year
games
long
throughout
in
the
the
regular
regular
season.
season. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was at the last game where Beal had like 30 plus points, and I was confused in the first round of the playoffs where, you know, it we literally looked like a whole different team versus Minnesota, which is why in the regular season a lot of fans wanted the Minnesota matchup. I don't know if it was. I think it was either between New Orleans or Minnesota. I don't quite remember what the two teams were that the Suns would have played, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough. We got cooked. Defensively, the Timberwolves were just everywhere, and I feel like they were actually able to play. They were actually able to play defense opposed to the Suns. They were able to play more physical. And of course, they had the athleticism and size. Naz
Mm-hmm.
Reid, Anthony Edwards was took that leap in the playoffs, and you know, we obviously got cooked. So
Yeah, it was tough. I'm happy that you said that because I think a lot of people really forget about that. In the regular season, they dominated them consistently, and I knew
yeah,
that. But I feel like the one adjustment is that they would try to limit the threes they would take,
hmm
and if they're doing that, well, we now have more size and just possession after possession after possession. They're just more equipped to survive that full battle, and that was the key change. I also think they did a better job of saying, you know what, we're not going to like we're not going to let you consistently touch the paint and then find guys. We're going to stay home. Like they didn't like
hmm
they said KD averaged 27 or 28 points. We have to stop threes from occurring. When you do that and you also have a better defensive team, I think
yeah,
that's what really bridges the gap. And I think that that was an important series for me, at least, because that showed the real flaws with the Suns. But
yeah.
outside of that, though, moving into 2024,
hmm
what were your feelings on the team after that? Because now, like, okay, Beal, he missed a good chunk of the year, all this and all that, but you're hoping for a healthier year. Where did you have them going into last season?
I had them being like not like a top five team, anywhere between like it was a guaranteed playoff spot. I had us being like maybe the seventh or sixth seed, realistically. Especially after some of the additions and just the start of the season. There was a lot of questions, and it was very puzzling with the offseason in general. You had Tyus Jones an event minimum, which we all thought was going to be a great move. Everybody thought that was going to be a steal. Turns out Devin Booker was still doing the same role. Tyus Jones could not play make to save his life. He pretty much sat in the corner and played catch and shoot, and he's a cone on defense. It sounds like I'm just ripping on Tyus Jones, but I just feel like the fit wasn't there. It wasn't a good team for him. Um, and yeah, I had us being at least like a seventh or sixth seed, and I didn't have us being anything too spectacular. But I just thought with, hopefully with the thoughts, everybody stays healthy. Everybody was in and out of the lineup. Honestly, the past two seasons that the big three was together. I don't know. I just had a lot better expectations, and then missing the playoffs was tough. And the only thing that was really like made the Suns bearable to watch towards the last half of the season was Ryan Dunn and Oso Iguodala
Ryan
just seeing what
Dunn.
they could do. And Ryan Dunn was honestly a great spark for the Suns because there was a lot of questions about him too with the offensive bag. Of course, defensively he was there. He's a monster, and he showed up great. Honestly, he played great. He showed up way better than I thought he was going to be personally.
I
But
thought he
we all
needed
knew there
more
was a reason for
minutes.
that. Yeah, it was confusing because he made the Rising Stars game, and then he didn't play for like 8 games after the All Star break, and he was starting, I believe, at some point like towards the first half of the season, and then he went to getting DMPs. Um, but obviously, Mike Boonholzer is an alcoholic. That is true. That was happening. I'm not joking. This is real. This is real stuff that was happening.
It was bad.
Um, and like I don't know, it was just so messed up too because Bull was hooping too. He was playing good, and then
True.
I guess he gets benched in for the rest of the season because he didn't help out in a scuffle with Mason Plumlee and Steven Adams. Did you ever see that?
I missed that specific time. But I remember
Mhm.
the stretch because I was watching him and I'm like, wow, he's actually getting burned and he's playing well. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden they just died. Like just, Um, I think for me the bigger thing though is Dunn not playing was something
We
I
needed
just could
defense.
not. Yeah, like this team is a team that specifically needs what Ryan Dunn came in preseason early on doing really really well, and he just for some reason wasn't playing. And then midseason, okay, here's 5 minutes, here's 10 minutes, and then in those spurts, you're seeing the impact. I got into arguments, by the way, with multiple Suns fans about this too. Right, my take was even if Ryan Dunn is going to make mistakes, you need
Yeah.
to develop him so he can play through those mistakes and become
They
a
disagree
better
with you?
player. Yeah, yeah.
What? What
I
was the
had
resolution?
so okay. So basically, they believe that he's a super young player.
Yeah.
This is a part of it. He'll get more burn in his next year. And I'm like, why are we waiting for next year to play a guy that can help right now and grow from these games? Because you only get better by playing and learning more as you're out there. They didn't agree though. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Maybe I feel like the past 2 years of Suns basketball, I don't even blame the fan base. I just feel like what we have watched as a product for the past 2 seasons has absolutely corrupted our knowledge of basketball. I
Mm.
feel like I've became dumber watching the sport of basketball from watching the Phoenix Suns the past 2 years. I feel like I lost a lot of my knowledge and what I was like, I thought I used to know the game of basketball pretty well, and then the past 2 seasons were like maybe I don't know basketball. Maybe I don't know. It's really questioned a lot of life decisions for me. But yeah, it's a rough point. Hopefully it gets better.
Yeah, it was a weird season. I have to say, like for me, it was very disappointing because you had other teams at the bottom of the Western Conference. Like, bro, the things that I saw Dallas doing, where they would just have random players play because so many guys were hurt, and they
Yeah,
still were able to make the play in. I just feel like this team not even making the play in is such a failure on, I would say, the front office, but more importantly, Budenholzer as a coach, like, just made a lot of coaching
he should
mistakes.
never be an NBA coach ever again. I hope Adam Silver somehow sees this clip. Ban him, please. Ban him from the
It was
NBA.
bad. Yeah, I like and see, he's normally like I've seen him have success with similar talent before. So I'm thinking, okay, there's gonna be ways to like really maximize his team, all this and all that. And even with that, that just didn't happen at a large part for this roster. But now this is a completely different team.
Hmm.
You trade Kevin Durant,
Yep.
and I know there was a lot of buzz in season about this, especially towards like the tail end when he got hurt.
Hmm.
Did you agree with the KD trade or no?
Yeah, I think it was time. Obviously, I think Kevin was frustrated with the front office, and clearly the front office already had different plans towards the deadline timeline of the season. And, I think the Suns honestly got a pretty good return. A lot of people probably won't agree with that. But when you get some young dudes like Jalen Green, who is scoring north of 22 points a game and is probably going to score 25 plus points per game this season, um, you got a 10th round pick, or the not 10th round pick, the 10th pick in this year's draft, and you got the center addition that you needed, and come on Malawak. Um, I was all aboard for it. I personally didn't want to see Kevin leave from a fan aspect because Kevin's one of my top two favorite players of all time. So seeing him leave was kind of tough.
Okay.
But clearly, it was just kind of time. Things were getting a little too toxic outside of just the Suns in general within the fan base, and I just kind of feel like it was time that both sides needed to separate.
It felt like the writing was on the wall towards the end of the year. Um,
Yeah,
I also think that like the value that they got back for the okay, so like trading Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson for KD, and then trading KD for Jalen Green, the picks that turn into I believe Malawak and there's one other demon. I for some reason don't recall his
Fleming.
name. 6ix9ine. Yes. I like them. I like them a lot.
Yeah,
And I kind of feel like for the Suns, you immediately hop into a retool with
Yeah.
size and athleticism, which is a different
Mhm.
look. And I think this roster needed it. I'm super high on, I would say, Malawak as well. I think he's going to be really, really good almost day one for the Suns.
Yeah.
I think the growth for these players is going to be fun, and I think that's what
Hmm.
this team needs, like a fun thing to aim for. You know?
Yeah. We need something to actually be happy to watch as a product.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, this is going to be an exciting team for growth. Kobe Brea, obviously. I didn't know much about Kobe Brea. I just knew that he was like the top 3-point shooter in college. The interest, I believe, around pick 41 was Tyrese Proctor as well. So everybody was
Hmm.
kind of shocked when Kobe Brea was called. Um, but yeah, I mean, he showed a lot of great flashes. He's even been getting Devin Booker comparisons. So, I mean, that's something. Rasheer Fleming, I think, is going to be an absolute dog. I was
He
shocked
gonna
he
be
fell out of
nice.
the first round. I didn't
Yeah.
think he would
Yes.
fall past
Same.
20. Out of
Same.
the
He
top
fell
20, I thought
far,
it was
didn't he?
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell too. He was, I mean, the first pick on day two, but I was like, you got to go up. The Suns made the right move in moving up and going to trade for him. Obviously, he's going to be a steal. And Summer League, he missed a couple of games to start off, but he showed some flashes of what he's going to be able to do. And Molly is going to be kind of a process. I think it's going to be like a Joel Embiid type deal. Joel wasn't good right off the bat. Molly has only played basketball for like 5 years now total.
Yeah.
He started at the age of 13. So just to see how good of a player he is now, just imagine like a couple years down the line when he's in the gym with NBA prospects and just learning the game. A lot of these guys are going to be great, man. And learning under, it's just weird to say now, a veteran like Devin Booker, it's going to be exciting. And this summer league, it's ironic because I made the comment about Tamani Kamara on his summer league performance, but I want to take too much away from Kaman Maluwak's summer league performance this year, mainly because of the guards that he was playing with, like Yuri
I
Collins and stuff.
I don't care. I and
I
you know, I don't
Yeah.
mean to say it in that way. I think he's good. I just feel like there's certain things that I watch and
Mhm.
I say, okay, in summer league, all I care about is process and I would say your motor.
Yeah.
Actual shots falling or not doesn't really move me because
Mhm.
those things
Yep.
are variable. They change all the time. Does
Yep.
the game look too fast for you, right? I feel like for him, day one, he's going to be equipped to play. I just think that the growth to like actually become like very, very, really good might take some
Yeah.
time, but who cares? The upside is there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for Kaman Maluwak, like you said. Um, and yeah, the shot's fine. I don't really care about. It's just like he was just put in like on offensive sets. He was put in so many like awkward positions, like in the high mid range areas towards like the 3-point line. The guards weren't really taking screens, which was weird. And I don't know, they just weren't getting him the ball in good positions, which that will change once he's out there with a guy like Devin Booker and Jalen Green. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
So listen, on this podcast, I
Yeah.
believe in having a sense of honesty, right? And I
Yep.
will say this. For me personally, when I saw the KD trade, not
Hmm.
knowing what the picks were going to turn into,
Yeah.
initially, I was very, I would say, taken aback by it. Mainly because I'm not that high on who Jalen Green is as a player.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of flaws in his game. Obviously, I say part of this because I am a fan of like the Warriors and I watched a entire playoff series with him, but he's young.
Yeah.
I think the one
Yeah.
thing that I don't give him enough credit for is he is a young age, even though I might not be high on him. He's in a position now where like the pressure is off to like have to be at that level and he
Yeah.
can grow. I'm more than willing to say that he has talent for sure, for sure, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and I think on the Suns, there is a way to build that out. And even if not, he can be something down the line you guys use to get something else. But I think it's fair to
Yeah.
give him time to pop still. I don't think that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm still like I'm iffy on my like judgment and kind of outlook in Jalen Green because I don't know like what the future is going to look like with him. I don't know if this is going to be like they're going to try and move him in the future or if he's part of like the long term retool here. I think that's kind of a question we'll figure it out and will be answered towards the end of the season, in the direction with the Phoenix Suns. But I think just getting to learn with Devin Booker for a full season will change a lot about Jalen Green's game, and I think he will be a more polished player. Um, I'm not the Jalen Green enthusiast. I don't know a lot about him. I'm still learning about him as he's on my team today, and I probably won't know much about him until tip off. But yeah, I just think as a guy that, what is he like, 24? Jalen Green is 23,
I believe
24.
so. Mm-hmm.
So just getting to like spend a full season under Devin Booker, I think is going to be so huge for him. And I think he'll be a more polished player, like I said.
I don't think the book is completely written on him, so I'll give him that grace. And again, like I've seen players where like it might take 3 to 5 years to really pop, but after that time, they become really good. He could just be a late bloomer type of player. And again, we see moments where it's like, wait, he just averaged 28 points for like a whole month of basketball. Like he can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I don't want to fully give up on him. I think this is a complete fresh start. So I'll give him that grace. There is another move you guys made, and I'm a bit split on this. I would love to get your opinion on this too. Trading a 2029 unprotected pick for a big that has a lot of talent. I think Mark Williams can be nice. The durability kind of questions me, and you just got Malawak, so I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I like the idea of having 2 bigs day one on your roster and saying, okay, we're going to have optionality. I like that, but I think there could be some value for that pick. So I feel a little bit iffy on that, but how you feel about it?
I don't care about draft picks, honestly.
Okay.
And that's just kind of just what the Suns front office has kind of been doing. It's clear that you can gain assets just as quick as you lose them, especially with the new CBA. And NBA can look a lot different in 2029. So like,
True.
Who knows what happens? The NBA is so wide open anymore. But I like what the Suns did. They added a lot more flexibility and options in terms of lineups and what you can do. And getting a guy like Mark Williams kind of takes off the pressure of drafting Kaman Maluwak and kind of his development. It gives him a chance to actually develop and be a rookie. He doesn't have to go in and, have all this pressure of trying to be that guy at center, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of opportunity just because of Mark Williams, injury health. Hopefully, praying for him. Hopefully it switches this season. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I was very excited. I'm very thrilled about the move, and like I said, I could care less about draft picks in 2029. That's 4 years from now. Like a lot can change in the next 2 seasons, in the next off season. Like a lot's to come yet.
That's true. I said what I said because for me, they're trying, in my opinion, right, to retool this team around Devin Booker. So I'm just saying, okay, for all the assets you have, what matters to me the most for this team is getting in a position where you can be in the mix and be somewhat competitive, and then try to make another splash with talent, or just straight up player development as we see Booker age more, which he's still like young. He's not like out of his prime yet at all, right? So I think there's time.
That's a good point. Like a lot of people, how they're treating Devin Booker right now, they're treating him like he's 33 years old and like he's getting towards out of his prime. Like dude's 28. I think he's going on. I think he's 28 or 29, something like that. That is still very young. Book has not shown any signs of regression. Like he averaged 25 and like 7, playing like out of like a role. Like I don't know. I'm not too worried about it, and I've seen the narratives around Book since day one, so it's always going to change every day.
Look, man, I have been fighting the good fight for Devin Booker for a very long time.
I appreciate it. There's very few.
Yeah. Like I really remember cursing my homeboys out repeatedly about Devin Booker is a better player than Donovan Mitchell. And at the time, it was when the Jazz were in the playoffs the first year and they beat the OKC Thunder in the first round. They were saying Donovan Mitchell's better. But I'm like, Devin Booker is the more complete player. I think now it's much more of a conversation and whatnot, but I've always believed in him as a player that can win basketball games. And as soon as Chris Paul came, the one thing I didn't like, because again, I'm honest on this podcast, I was a Chris Paul hater. But the one thing I hated the most about it is it felt like Chris Paul got a ton of the credit, and he was very impactful for sure. But Devin Booker's winning like traits are what really fueled that team for me. Right. So I think that mattered. I don't think he gets enough of the proper, I would say, respect on his name.
Yeah, I mean, Obviously, he's been snubbed from the All-Star game multiple times, and I still think he's the best shooting guard in the league. You know where I'm at on Instagram. You can come DM me. Feel free. But
Pull up.
yeah, the narrative's always been different with Devin Booker. The goalpost is always going to move farther and farther every year. Just like a couple of years ago when Booker was in the MVP race, um, the narrative was you have to be the best player on the best team. That was the narrative. That's what it takes to be an MVP. It changed that year. Nikola Jokic won the MVP. I believe they were like the 4th seed in the West at the time. The Suns were clear cut first. I think they had like 67 wins or whatever. Um, but then this season, the narrative was Shea, best player in the best team in the West. When I thought Jokic definitely should have won MVP, but it's cool. I've just I've got used to it now. I don't really get so angry about the Devin Booker thing. It's real people like you, the real hoop knowers that know like who the ones are.
Listen, I will say this unapologetically, right? I think that the biggest things that he does that went completely underrated for like a super long time is the way he gets to his shots. He's not a ball stopper. He can pass the ball. I've seen him make very high level skip passes before.
Yeah,
Um, I just think the thing that can hold back his game sometimes is when he's bringing the ball up and he has like a really good POA around him. If the team is not gonna move and like do things with a purpose, you're gonna get stagnant offense, which again is why I like the direction of the Suns here. Because now it's like,
right.
okay, we're going to value athleticism. What should make this
Yes.
team fun is at the very least, if Jalen Green is in a unique place where they're running and they're getting out in transition, that will feed his game. And I think that style of play is what the Suns should absolutely build around moving forward.
Yes, 100%. I think that's just the whole meta of the new NBA basketball in general is just size and athleticism. It seems like more and more teams are adapted to that. They're taking notes from OKC. That's what they took to one NBA title. On the big three thing is now gone down the drain. Maybe that will be coming back at some point. But yeah, it's just a new era of basketball in general. Yeah.
Yeah, it's size, defense, athleticism, and the most
Shooting.
underrated thing in the entire NBA beyond shooting, possessions. I'm telling you,
Yes.
like the possession like the biggest takeaway for me when Denver played the Suns in the playoffs for me was the possession battle. Like they were getting more rebounds and they shot more threes. If you're
Yeah.
doing that, you're not going to be able to beat teams. You know what I'm saying? So I
100%.
think where the Suns are trying to go is they're trying to make a more modernized, I would say, version of that. But
Yeah.
all that being said, what are your expectations this upcoming year for the Suns?
My expectations at the lowest, I see him being a playing team. I don't see him missing the playoffs this year. And
Okay.
I'd say at the highest anywhere because the NBA, like a lot of people are going to call me crazy for this, but the NBA is so wide open now. Like just looking back at the finals here, the Pacers, look how fast they turned around. Look how quick the league changed. Nobody thought the Pacers were going to the NBA finals. So I could see the Suns anywhere between, what is it? Is it the 10th seed? Is that the last plan spot, if I'm correct?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so I could see him anywhere between 10 and 6. That's my expectations for the Suns.
Interesting. For me, I don't want to put a seed on it. I don't think the Suns are a
Exactly. Yeah.
playoff team. I think they're more so a team where we're going to see the growth of these players. And for them,
Hmm.
what makes a successful season for me is
Yeah.
seeing the young players play. Not saying, hey, I know you're young, so you're not gonna play for the entire season. Just to
Right.
say for next year, okay, no, like I want to see these players get real burn, real meaningful minutes now so that way next year they have a foundation to build off of. I think people severely underrate the process of winning a title. It doesn't all
Yes.
begin with having all the players. It's having
Right.
these players in a position where you actually make mistakes, you learn from
Yes.
it, and you become better. So all I want to
Yeah.
see is I want to see 25 minutes for a lot of these young players. Get them
Hmm.
going early for me.
Yeah. 100%. Like it's not a full rebuild, it's just a retool. And I see the Suns title window coming back up in the next 2 to 3 seasons. Clearly Book is committed to that with the extension. And I don't see him ever leaving Phoenix despite people wanting to trade him. But yeah, you make some very valid points with that. With the process, it's just being so underrated. It's not instant. You need these guys to make mistakes so they can learn from it. It's just that's how it takes, you know. But yeah, I'm not saying they're going to make a splash like right off the bat. I just think they'll be anywhere between 10 and 6. I don't see them missing the playoffs again.
I think the splash, I think this team might need to become a legitimate contender. Outside of like Jalen Green becoming a legitimate like force on this team, is making a splash in free agency, which the whole point in all these moves was to get under the cap and like actually create space. Right. But to turn that flexibility into something, I think is the way they're able to do the real tooling around Devin Booker, which is doable. I don't think Phoenix is a bad market.
No, I don't see a lot of people. I don't know why people think Phoenix is a bad market. Like just in general, like the warm weather. I don't think the taxes in Arizona are that bad. You know, it's just a great state to live, and of course, you get to go play with a guy like Devin Booker, which everybody wants on their team, and that's who everybody wants to go play with. And the Olympics showed that how just unselfish and how much of a ego he doesn't have. So. Yeah, I think it won't be hard to attract players to Phoenix at all.
And that's why I'm saying for me personally, this is not a year where, okay, I want the Suns to actually win a whole bunch of games. I think the draft next year, there's some very like elite talent. If they can get a high pick, right, hit there, and then they have the offseason to actually add a very good player too. Now they're really having something great on top of building a foundation for the young players to play and get adjusted to the game. If you do all of those steps, that is how this team gets back to title contention in the NBA for me.
Yeah, 100%. No, you're right.
So I'm a fan. I'm sorry. I'm a fan. Like, it's a bit weird because right now I have been waiting all offseason for my team to do something. I'm a Warriors fan. We haven't done shit.
Yeah.
Like, literally have done actually no transactions outside of losing Looney for nothing. So it's like, I can't even say nothing to you because your team is at least committing to a path and doing something. I respect that. I
actually
really
have a question for you.
Sure.
So as a Warriors fan, to Jonathan Kuminga talk, I need a breakdown on Jonathan Kuminga. Because I'm still not fully sold on the idea of bringing him to Phoenix, depending on the package.
Right.
So I need like your honest take on Jonathan Kuminga here.
Yeah. So here's my honest take, right? And I've said before in the past. Jonathan Kuminga is a very polarizing player. I watch him a ton. I was saying this in the playoffs, by the way. When he wasn't getting minutes in the Rocket series, I thought that was foolish. And I was saying that because regardless of the mistakes that he makes, our roster is really some shit beyond the first 4 players. And I say this because the players to come in and actually impact the game aren't great. I think his high-end upside could be higher, but he needs room to really make up for his processing issues because he has real flaws in his game. He has real problems in his game. But he does legitimately have a knack for scoring the basketball. I do want to say, after Steph Curry went down, they said, you know what? We need you to play. And he performed for the most part. After basically being blackballed from the end of the season throughout the entire playoffs, he still was able to play well, which he played well with top defenses. So to me, like, I think that the growth of him in the future can be a thing. If you're trying to win now, I don't think he's the answer. I don't think that he's really a great fit on this roster because the coach is not aligned with actually wanting to play him. And also, he makes a ton of inconsistent mistakes and he's gotten hurt. However, if you want me to translate it down for Phoenix, he's a wing. Like, I think for Phoenix, it makes a lot more sense because you guys are currently in a spot where you're trying to take players and turn them into that high upside. That is a team where they're going to try to like run more. I think he fits perfectly into that style. So I don't think he would be bad in Phoenix, but also have to be honest about what his upside really is. Is he going to be a star? I don't know. Is he going to be like the next, I would say Jalen Brown or maybe Kawhi Leonard as like you were drafted as a player that was a project and you panned out, he could be that, but I can't confirm it mainly because his time and his way to prove himself has been very limited by his team right now. That's the
Yeah,
honest truth, in my opinion.
that's fair. Now, there's been a. I'm asking the questions now.
Sure, that's fine.
I've heard a lot of a lot of talk about his personality, like just how he is as a person outside of basketball. Is there anything you could add to that? I guess there's been a lot of
Yeah.
questions.
Um, he's a dog, and like I say that where he wants to be the best, he wants to really compete and win. I would say him not accepting the contract right now is him saying I can be better than that. He's betting on himself as a player. I think he's a very dedicated player. He is from the Congo, all that type of stuff. Like he's really dedicated towards the job.
Yeah.
So like I think that personality wise wouldn't be a bad fit either. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I like his overall story as a player too. It's just the
Yeah.
fact of like bad fit. He's kind of a low floor player in terms of like consistently doing what we need him to do, but he's also being asked to play on a team where he's not getting a fair shake, and his role has never been a consistently defined role. If he goes to a team like your team, the role to me is, hey, dunk the ball. You are a wing. You will consistently get 20 to 25, maybe even more than that on a night to night basis. If there was some sense of like actual structure to it, I think he could be a better player, but I don't think he's been able to play in that.
Okay. Nice. I was just curious because I don't know much about Jonathan Kaminga, and with all the news, I like to get a little scoop. And perfect enough, you're a Warriors fan, so I just thought I'd get some insight here from you, and I appreciate that.
I think the best stretch of basketball, if you want to evaluate his upside, is probably um maybe like January Kuminga. There was a stretch, I forget if it's last year or the year before that, where he got the time and was really turning the corner and then he got hurt. And then after he got hurt, it was never the same. And then he basically did not really play in the same way at all after that. I think that stretch has me thinking there is upside there, even if it will take a lot to actually develop it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll say that's my take. But I agree with your take on the Suns' expectations. I hate how we live in a time where people want microwave things. Like we're on YouTube, TikTok, where like people just want instant gratification. That's not how basketball works. That's not how championship teams are built. You have to lose, right? Like there's things to like learn. There's always going to be growing pains and all that type of stuff. I think the Suns are in a spot where they can reflect and build positively, knowing the previous mistakes we've made and learning from that. That's where I think the Suns are right now for me.
Yeah, a lot of people do forget about that. Like it's not a TV dinner; it's a Thanksgiving feast. It doesn't.
Yes.
It's not 2 minutes. It takes a whole day of preparation to officially serve the product out to the people, and that's just something that people just want it now, and that's just nobody's patient anymore, and everybody wants everything to happen by a snap of a finger. So hopefully that mindset changes, but I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. I would say for me, my expectations for the Suns, I want to see great things from Jalen Green. I think he can he is very much so a 2K player where I have a 99 dunk, and at times I can also get very, very hot from three, but having a higher floor is the biggest thing he needs to gain for this upcoming year. I'm not sure how much you care about Dylan Brooks.
I love Dylan Brooks. I've wanted a guy like Dylan Brooks on the Suns for a long time. I wanted just the dog fucking mentality. Like he's gonna You're not looking forward to playing Dylan Brooks. Like nobody. Like
that's
if you're coming into town to play Phoenix, or Phoenix coming into town, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna have to deal with this dude for 48 minutes. You shit me. Like it's the same though with Patrick Beverley. It's just a whole. gonna have to deal with Pat Bev. Like, just because he's not like a outstanding, talented player, generational talent, like you need guys like that. You need dogs. You need guys that can go out there and hustle. That's why I like Jay Crowder in the Suns, because he was a fucking dog.
I love Jay Crowder and Sons, dog. He was great.
He was just great for a culture, and you need that for Phoenix, and having just it's gonna help out so much. Like the defense that we have now with Ryan Dunn, Dylan Brooks, adding Rasheer Fleming, like, and if we do somehow acquire Kaminga, like that's a great win depth, and that's something I'm very excited for.
I think Brooks is an important player. And like, I
Yes.
want to be honest, I'm not a Dylan Brooks fan. As a Warriors fan, I've seen what he be on, but I respect it
Mhm.
because you want guys on your team that you don't want to go up against. I think Draymond
Yes.
Green is a prime example. People hate
Yes.
Draymond Green, but
I
in
would
the
love
game, it's
Draymond.
like, right, right. Like, I think that's what Dylan Brooks is for this team. And more importantly, you get a starter that automatically understands what he's doing defensively. Like, he
Yes.
knows what it is. And I think it's a very sharp change from a team that like defensively didn't know what the hell they were doing for the entire year. You just want to see like actual showings of a structured team. And that's what he can
Yes.
bring to him
Hmm.
for sure on that.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm excited for Dylan Brooks. It's just I just love that we don't have to play against him. Like, he's just there's so many guys in the NBA that, like you said, you love him if he's on your team, but you hate to play against him. Dylan Brooks was the guy that I hated matching up against, just because he's just
He don't
he's so
stop.
he's so annoying. Like, and that's why I love Josh Okogie so much too, because he's not a bigger dude. He's 6'4", but he has a lot of hustle. He would go and get rebounds, and he would go attack the rim. Now, I'm not comparing him to Dylan Brooks. I'm just saying, I those guys are very underappreciated in the NBA, and I would still love Josh Okogie if he was on this team to this day. But yeah, I'm excited for Dylan Brooks, man. It's something that the Suns very much needed for a couple years now.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I could definitely co-sign all of those things. But if we take a step back from the Suns, as an NBA content creator for you at least, what's
Yeah.
something you're very excited for this upcoming season? What moves you?
What moves me, just like around the NBA in general.
Yeah.
See, this is kind of tough for me because I'm very loyal to the Suns, and I could give a fuck less about every other NBA
I
team.
like
I don't
that.
care.
I like
I
that though.
don't give a
Okay.
fuck what's going on. I only rock the Suns. I had a family member get me a Lakers shirt for Christmas one time. I don't know if they were trolling or not. It still has the tags on it. I don't know where it's at. I don't fucking rock with any other team. That's why, like, this is one like thing. I don't know if it's somewhat as like a weakness, but like I don't really pay attention to other teams unless I'm turning into content creators like yourself and other people that I see on my timeline. That's where I
Okay.
get my evaluations on other players. So like the only time I'm exploring when it's coming to like breaking down players' games is if they're in the Suns have interest in them and there's like rumors and swirlings. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck. If you're not repping purple and orange, I don't care what's going on with you.
I can respect that, man. I used to be wired that way, and then I say, you know what? My team ain't on shit this year. Let me just expand to like actually watching. Like, it's so key because you see how
Yeah.
fast this league moves. One year, I saw Kemba Walker playing basketball. The next year, he was out the league. Like, it just happened so fast. Like,
Hmm.
teams change so fast. 3 years ago, everyone was laughing at what the OKC Thunder were. Then they get all these draft picks, build up their team, and they're title champions this year. Like,
Yeah.
all that stuff matters. So like that's a huge part of why for me, I do this thing where all 30 teams we go through because I want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm hip, that I'm in the know for what is to come for
Right.
each team.
100%. Yeah, I 100% respect that. And that's not saying, because I see a couple people in the chat getting on me that I'm not a real basketball enjoyer. I appreciate every NBA player. Everybody has their own different archetypes and their own ways of how they play the game of basketball. I appreciate every player. Uh, but like, I just, I'm not like, my energy and focus isn't on them. If that really kind of clears it up a bit. Like, I rock with Jason Tatum. Like, players that I like rock with around the league: Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton. Like, I even rock with Shea despite the free throw merchant deals. I love Ant too. He's a fucking dog.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't have like, I'm not like, oh, what is the Pacers doing on a Tuesday night? Like, I'm solely focused on the Suns. That's my passion, and I rock with the Valley since day one. So a
Okay.
lot of
So,
people might not enjoy that, but that's just how it is. I'm loyal.
okay. So you know what? I saved my final question for you because I think this is the one that matters the most to me, right?
Mhm.
I feel like we keep saying 2026 free agency, all this and all that. What free agent do you think could sign to this team and would really give you confidence of like this is a team that can really contend with OKC and whoever is in the Eastern Conference? Who's that guy for you? And do you think that all of your primary goals should be getting a guy like that? Who is that for you
Like you're talking about the current free agency market right now.
in the future? So like right now, it's all capped up. But next off season is like the big one where like all the money comes in, all the players leaving and whatnot. Like, who's the guy that you are really going to be highlighting for either next off season or just overall in the coming years?
That's kind of tough without knowing the market off the top of my head. I would like to like ideally get a point guard. I would like that.
Okay.
Just a point guard or like get another wing. I don't think there's a significant move that the Suns could make with their flexibility in the next free agency that's really gonna say, hey, we're gonna go be a contender this year. I think the CBA kind of killed free agency in terms of that. Like you kind of have to build through the draft and through trading now. So like free agency in general is just kind of tough to kind of make a splash move. That's kind of free agency is kind of just a spot now where you like kind of fill the roughing around the edges and kind of smooth that out in terms of building your team.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You're chasing stability. And I
Yes.
love that feeling. I understand that feeling. I desperately want that as well. Cause you like all you want to do is watch this team play and feel like it's hoops, ain't nothing toxic. We're working towards a goal every time, and there's a structure to the team. I think there were a lot of things last year that just were not that. So I hear you on that.
Yeah, 100%. Like this team, like you said, we haven't been structured. We haven't had a structured team since like 2022 in terms of just a culture and just like stability. So just having that is going to make a big difference for the Suns, and that's just one of the reasons why I think we're going to be a better team overall next season.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't wait to see overall what that looks like. But I think we talked about everything. We talked about Bol, Ryan Dunn, the demon himself, Tumani Kamara, which unfortunately you did trade away. That was tough.
Yeah.
We talked about the draft. We talked about Jalen Green. I think we covered everything for the Phoenix Suns headed into next year. I want to say again, appreciate having you on. Great
I
conversation, man. That was
appreciate you
dope.
reaching out, man. This is super awesome. I think you're actually the first person that's ever like reached out to get me on their platform. So this is something that's really cool. And then if you want to have me back anytime, you have my DM. So I'd love to come back.
Absolutely. I want you to know, like, I do this every offseason. So, like, I literally shoot a ton of DMs, a ton of
I'm sure.
shots, and like
That's a
whatever
lot of
shot
work.
falls, it falls, and we do it. Yeah, like, bro,
Yeah.
finding someone to talk about the Utah Jazz with was one of my hardest battles.
I'm
But I
sure.
found somebody. It's
I'm
tough.
sure like the Jazz are tough. Are the Pelicans kind of a tough one to get? Or was
I
that
got
pretty
someone for the
easy?
Pelicans. That was easier because they actually have like an imprint on Twitter. Um,
Okay.
I think the
Oh
Jazz were
yeah.
just the hardest because like no one actively wants to sit down and actually like
Talk about the
break down. Yeah,
Jazz.
it was tough. It
That's
was,
fair.
but yeah. Big shout out to my guy. I believe 28 God. He sent me your name and your content, and like I was able to find you that way. So great conversation, man. Let the people know exactly where they can find you and what you do.
100%. So I create Suns content. I do Suns a lot of Suns content creation. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter. I stream NBA 2K on Twitch, so I do that as well.
W.
Um, TikTok. Do you play 2K?
I used to play 2K. I stopped playing 2K in 24. I think the peak of my powers was probably 2K20. I was
Okay.
in actual leagues for the game. I told myself I'm a buy it again when they stop dropping on last gen because I feel like the game's kind of been trash for the past couple years. But I
Bro,
could be
come back
wrong.
for
I don't know.
26. Come back
I've
for
heard good
26,
things
bro.
about 26. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I gotta
Come
see
back,
it.
bro. We'll
I'm
do a
waiting.
league. We'll do a my league. We'll do online my league. Come back. We'll do
I'll
it.
hit you up if I fold. We'll see.
All right, you're gonna fold. It's gonna chat. You better get on him every time. Every time he does a little podcast, little stream here, you say, "Hey, 2K26 is umpteen days away. You better go get it."
But they be doing that to me now. They be doing that to me right now every time.
That's okay. There's a reason for that.
But yeah, y'all, make sure to go tap in. All of his links will be in the description box and the comments below. Let us know what you think about the new look Phoenix Suns and their process for the next upcoming season. I appreciate you for being a part of this journey as you get through
100%.
all 30 NBA teams. But peace out, people. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Salute.